Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
So there's a little bit of negativity attached to investment banking. Maybe it comes from a place of sour grapes where not everybody eventually gets in. So people want to look at all the negatives there. But people say that it's very cutthroat. People are very, very greedy. All they are worried about is money. You all might also get fired at any point of time. So is there that much insecurity around the job? And also, do you think it's that cutthroat? Have you found a lot of greedy people around you and only that is your type? Would you say that?
50% true. No denying that. You need to love money to survive that industry. Or then you're someone who is just so brilliant कि वो 10 घंटे का काम 4 घंटे में कर देता है और फिर घर चला जाता है, and that's great. One of the two. That is the reality. Because let's take both, right? Let's start with the market side. If it doesn't pay you well, will you play a video game for the rest of your life? It's a video game. और क्या है? When you're trading, you're in front of a screen. It's the same screen and the same desk. You do it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But if you're not in love with the money, the kick you get when, okay, I sold it for 500, I bought it for 200, whatever. I'm just talking equities here. But, or whatever, you got your call on the USD right or the call on the rates right. If you don't get that kick on making money, you're never going to be incentivized enough to do it. It's those banks equal to capitalism. You cannot be a socialist and love banking, right? So it goes that way. So that is on the market side. On the investment banking side, the long hours need an incentive. Second, as I said, the job profile changes, right? So think of the work that you're doing in the first 2, 3, 4 years. Making comms, making profiles. Trust me, if you are half as diligent in checking your work twice and have basic sense of corporate finance, it's not difficult. Anybody can do it. But as I said, when the job profiles keep changing, the number of people that are actually good at doing that are very few. And therefore, that's where the competition comes in. And the remuneration shoots up drastically. Like there is between year 1 and year 10, there is a 10x number. 10x in 10 years, those are the numbers at a bulge bracket investment bank. So when the stakes are so high, obviously, again, relativity, right? If I can't push myself up, what can I do to push the next guy down or just seem relatively better? So it does happen. It's not, but it is for a reason that it happens. Now the question that you guys should ask yourselves is, where does it not happen? To a degree, it happens everywhere. Otherwise, you work in an NGO. As I said, I was part of the greedy lot. The money justifies it. But it's there. I cannot say it's not there. Does that mean that those people are asses? No. You could be perfectly competitive when it is professional, and I have made the best of friends. The person I'm working with today, my co-founder at my startup, is my 1 year senior. Some of my best friends have come from my job who were my batch or 1 year below or 1 year senior. You have to be professional about it, and as long as you don't take things personally, not a problem. Like you have friends who you guys vying for the same jobs right now, or you've had friends in college and school, right? Padhna hai, padhai karni hai, karo. You excel, but it doesn't decide your personality who you are.
Okay, so you spent like a decade in investment banking, doing all the greedy stuff, made a lot of money. So how did the entrepreneurial bug bite you? When did you decide to, okay, this is something I want to now quit doing and I want to do something completely different? So you started a company called DRiefcase. Is that am I pronouncing it right? Okay. So what does DRiefcase do? How did that happen actually initially before we go into what DRiefcase does?
So DRiefcase, what it does, the idea is simple. People take care of their health, but nobody takes care of health records. If you move to my age where you have a child or a parent, or in my case both, to take care of medically, what typically happens is everybody has a cupboard or cabinet at home, but which is such an ignored as piece of the house. If the day something is needed, the whole family is running looking for that one report. So we decided to solve the problem. It's an app and a scanning service bundled together, marketed, where we do all the scanning and you can locate any record in a few seconds. That's the sum and substance of it. About the entrepreneurial bug, it was always there. I'm a good Jew, I was born an entrepreneur. But having said that, what changed in 2015 was thoda fatigue tha. And I mean, after 10 years of investment banking, I was a little tired. I was a little done with the politics. Ke ab nahi khelni hai ye game. And what changed between 2006 and 2016, where you guys are lucky, why the campus hiring profile has now changed. In 2006, if I started DRiefcase and say by 2008-9 I gave it up and started looking for a job, I would actually be treated as someone who's failed at a startup. Therefore, something's not right with this guy. I cannot give him par with even someone who's graduating in 2008. I would have had to take a serious hit on my, be it rank, be it pay, be it whatever. That is not the situation today. That's what's changed a lot. Just because you worked at a startup, and even if the startups fail, the effort that goes in, the creativity that goes in, the jugaduness that goes in, now is finally appreciated at the corporate level. Like so many heads of strategy for brick and mortar startups are now people coming from the digital age, the startups or whatever you call it, which would have never been the case back in 2006. So that was the other thing. Ke downside thoda limited hai. Ke chalo, if this doesn't work out, if we come back to the job market, it's not something that will look vastly against us. Idea was good. It's something that I had suffered personally from.
How did you suffer personally from, if you can throw some light on it?
So, my uncle was down from the States a couple of years before that. And like every NRI come back, chalo, it was probably May, so Amras, the whole Guju fair out. By midnight, he's waking all of us up, and he was 75 at that time. He's waking all of us up, ki I'm feeling breathless. So a 75-year-old man who feels breathless in the middle of the night, you rush him to the ER, ki kya ho raha hai? And the doctor asked for his previous ECGs, because like the ECG is a little off, but he's 75-year-old, so maybe it's always off. I need a comparable. Because an ECG is a comparable tool. You compare a wrong ECG to a healthy one and take your call. And we said we don't have it. Simply put, he had come from out of town, and ठीक है, admit करो, Breach Candy Hospital, ICU, 1.5 days, 2 actually if you count 1.5 days. He was finally discharged, and ठीक है, money was not a consideration here. Everything was all right, but he was eventually tied to a bed for 1.5 hours for what was acidity. Fact. These things come up as urban legends. मेरे साथ हुआ है. And then when we talk to people, all kinds of stories come up. All kinds of stories started coming up. Simply put, I could ask this: how many people here have parents who have either a cholesterol or a high blood pressure or a diabetes? How many of you actually know what medicines they take? I think the numbers of hands went. So God forbid something goes down. And that's the first question a doctor will ask you. Ki yaar, kaun si dawai andar? He will not touch a diabetic or a hypertension patient if he does not know what medicines are in the system at that point in time. So these are small things which he never thought of, which came up when we started talking to people about the idea. And chalang marli.
So what has been the toughest challenge after you started up? You mentioned some time back, you managing 15 people also seems like a tough thing. So any challenges you would want to talk about?
Lots of challenges. Otherwise, we would have been a unicorn. But operationally, in terms of personal challenges, I would say. Firstly, after 10 years, you are too used to doing your job and someone taking care of everything else. There is an assistant who you're given. आपकी flight bookings वो करेगी, आपके telephone bills वो handle कर लेगी. Whatever, you do your job and HR will take care of the new hiree, tech will come and sort your computer out. You're too used to that. You have the bathroom inside is working when you go and press the flush. The first shot that hit us, and we started working out of our own office. There was some spare real estate in the family. So we started off that. So unlike the WeWorks of the world. So the first thing that hit us, if a client calls up shouting that documents upload nahi ho rahe, aapka banda time pe nahi hai, that is my problem, which is my job. I handle sales. But at the same time, your engineer is complaining that bathroom mein flush nahi chal raha hai, which also I only have to sort because I don't have a secretary now to run to. So CEO bhi tum ho, chaprasi bhi tum ho, everything is your work, and both are important because if engineer काम नहीं करेगा तो software developer नहीं होगा. So it's not that one piece of work is like, we tend to worship our own work a lot when you're in a corporate job. Oh, I do investment banking. Oh, I do this. I talk to CEOs, CFOs. But yeah, if the guy at you start appreciating your factory workshop, even the guy who comes and cleans the office. If that guy who doesn't come clean the office, what happens? You get to see it firsthand. We only talk about it, we hear about it. So that's the first one. That hit when it comes to you. Go find a plumber and get that fixed. That realization takes time. The second that happens, and this will happen to someone who's moved from a corporate to a startup, especially something as grassroots as ours, is that your visiting card no longer holds value. We were Bank of America, one of the largest balance sheets in the world. There is no corporate who will say to meet the guy who carries. Like when you're carrying a check around, a checkbook in your pocket, nobody's going to say no to meet you, right? And for the average startup, they say there's a survey that says that it takes 12 calls, follow-ups, meetings to push the file from one desk to another. And it happens in the biggest, I'm not going to say names, but the biggest of companies globally. It just, things move, especially when you are just a cheaty in front of them. Even there, like, as I said, we're so used to talking to CEO and CFO on a phone call away, and then now you're dealing with someone 15 levels below. And, Haji sir, kar do yaar. And this applies to any entrepreneur, nothing to do with a startup or not. Anyone who starts a business, I have parents who into their own business. You cannot have an ego. वो ego घर पे रखो. अगर ego है, attitude है, fair enough, you're entitled to it. Don't start up, because there will be hundreds of people हाथ जोड़ने पड़ेंगे, करना पड़ेगा, if you want to get the business anywhere, especially in your first 6-8 months. Then when you become a Flipkart, that's a different story.
What is the vision for DRiefcase, as in how are you going to change the world, if that's even something that you feel you're doing?
When we were thinking about it, कि करना क्या है, digital health was something that appealed to us. That everything in our life has gone digital, right? I mean, look at the way shares get traded. Look at the way our banking happens. Like everything on the finance side is all on phones, is all on cloud. Healthcare, unfortunately, today is nowhere even close. Most of it happens on paper. So that was a simple, we didn't overthink it. We simply, तो digital health में जाना है because अब तक हुआ नहीं है. You can call it a contrarian argument, as we realized as the deeper and deeper we went in. The vision is simple. We are a patient side app helping manage patient records. We've just launched a clinic management side as well. So from covering the patient, now we're starting to cover the doctors as well. I don't know if we'll get into the path side and the chemist side as well. But the idea is to create an ecosystem wherein the health record itself is 100% digital. And imagine a situation where you go to a doctor, he gives you the diagnosis, etc., etc. At the end of it, one of two things or both will happen. He either tell you, go get a blood test done, you need to get these tests done. Or he'll say, ye problem hai, ye dawai le lo. Or he'll say both, okay, get these tests done, but start with these meds. Imagine by the time you reach there, you reach home, your meds have already reached because you have a tie-up with someone like a NetMeds at the back end. The doc issues the prescription, hits NetMeds. By the time you reach home, the medicines are there. Or you have a back-end tie-up with a Metropolis. The phlebotomist is there. He's ready to take your blood at home. That is what we want healthcare to be. As seamless as that. कि not कि यहाँ जाना है, फिर इधर जाओ, फिर report pick up करो, फिर उधर वापस जाओ, इसको दिखाओ, अरे और report चाहिए, फिर वापस चले जाओ. No. That is our vision.
Okay, so you must have experienced evolution of many industries, during your investment banking days, and now you're an entrepreneur yourself. What are the skills that you think, the class of 2021 should focus on, given that what was relevant 10 years back is not relevant anymore, and probably what is relevant today may not be relevant 2 years from now. So what are the kind of skills should I invest my time in, according to you?
Communication. I think across India, we had Mancom for one term. I think it should have been there for all 6 terms. And it needs to be developed far more to include networking, especially now, in the age of social media. We are so much in touch with each other. Building a network, what it takes. the amount of years it takes, and I can see the value of it now because it's something that both Sohit and I are reaping today. When you're starting off on your own, you need help. You really need lots and lots of help. So that networking part of communications. At the same time, even it's one thing that what we are taught, कि बैठो, room है, present करो, this is your presentation, ये वो classroom है. But to do it in front of a client, to handle the level of Q&A that comes out, you're never taught. You're told to present. How do you handle the Q&A? The thinking of 4 steps ahead, कि क्या question आएगा, therefore, because when we are taught communication, the subject doesn't matter. You're only taught कि भाई ये टॉपिक है, उस पर प्रेजेंट कर दो, स्लाइड पे 3 बुलेट्स होने चाहिए या 4 बुलेट्स होने चाहिए. But what if someone asks you a random question in the middle of that, breaks your flow? Are you able to handle it? The ability to call up the CEO of a company and say, boss, this is what I think you should do, with that confidence, to tell him. See, it requires you to be very good at your work. That is a given. So that is step 1. Be good at your work. Because if you are not, once you're out of college, this whole business ke teacher's pet starts falling away. Because for what matters to the boss is the guy who does the work, universally. As long as you ensure that the boss knows who's doing the work, you are safe. Because that's what matters, right? In any job, if you don't do the job, your boss will have to do it, because otherwise his boss will fire him. So, but the ability to communicate is just what is taught. Nowhere prepares you for what is needed. So, and communication at all levels, because it is very different to hold a glass of wine among CEOs, talk about politics. It takes a different skill to break into that. And that's something that should work on early on. It's not something that you need when you are 40. It's something you need now, because then you'll be ready with it when you're 35, 30, 35, whatever.
Hi guys, we hope you like this video.
And if you did, hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon.
हाँ बस हो गया, अभी काम भी कर लो.
हाँ ठीक है चलो.